Lord suddenly manifested before their eyes many women who were astonishingly gorgeous, decorated with fine clothes and ornaments, and all faithfully engaging in the Lord's service. So the purport says, Lord Naranarayan showed his causeless mercy toward the demigods by relieving them of their false prestige. Although the demigods were proud of their personal beauty and female companions, the Lord showed that he was already being adequately served by innumerable gorgeous females, each of whom was far more beautiful than any female companion imagined by the demigods. The Lord manifested such uniquely attractive women to his own mystic potency. So, yeah, there was Naranarayan Rishi. They were, performing austerities, and the devas, attain their position generally through punya karma, pious activities, and they've done so because they were looking in the past life they were humans, and they were looking for an upgrade of their existence. Right? It says actually the human life is rather short. Um, the facilities we have here for enjoyment are meager, and our bodies kind of betray us. Right? Um, if you indulge in too much pleasure, it makes you sick, or otherwise you also just get used to it, too much, and it doesn't register any longer. And so they see people who are intelligent actually in the Vedic system see the human life as something to be invested rather than enjoyed. And so they're looking more towards the next life and a better one. And so they perform so many pious activities, and then they can enter into Swarga, where the devas live. And there they have much longer life. Their bodies are much more able to enjoy without being sick or tired or anything like that. And they have much more beautiful facilities and things to enjoy. And so and they're a little concerned, right, when somebody starts to do intense austerities or spiritual practice, because it said they were afraid that maybe this Naranarayan is going to come and take their place. And so thinking that Naranarayan and that other spiritual people were thinking in the same way that they were thinking, that they're trying to upgrade their human experience, to something in Swarga, they tempted him. They sent Kamadev, Cupid, and said, look, because there's a lot of people also, even if they're looking for something deeper, like they're looking for liberation, or they're looking for there's places above Swarga actually within this world. Sometimes even they are doing so out of frustration, right? Like you can that I'm not. There's a different thing. You can either see that the type of enjoyment that happens, even in Swarga, isn't ultimately worthwhile, and those people then will look for something deeper, all right? Or you can just be frustrated, that I'm never going to get anything here, so I wanna just give up. And then those people in particular, if you offer them some immediate pleasure, they're going to take it. And so they're hoping to distract and deviate Naranarayan from his spiritual practice in order to save themselves from potential displacement. And here it says he showed them mercy, and the first sign of that was that he wasn't upset with them, right? And it's because he's already on a position that's much higher, much higher. So above the Swargaloka planets are the the Maharlok, Tapalok, Satyalok, um, these things. There, people have a deeper level of sattva, of goodness. And so there, they do not focus on enjoying enjoyable things. Like for us, it's seems very natural, right? Because in our condition, we are not naturally satisfied, right? Happiness is something that can be attained and brought from the outside. And outside can mean, different things. It can mean through the physical senses, but also, our minds are actually external to the soul. And so, good thoughts or bad thoughts affect our happiness. Um, if we're like intellectual, wonderful understandings may affect our happiness. Somebody who's, an academic, if they come up with some beautiful understanding, beautiful idea, it may make their whole life, right? And then even the thing that's most delicate of all is our ego. What is our self-worth? And that produces happiness and distress. So from the outside, we can bolster if we can bolster our ego, if we can bolster our mind, our get great ideas and have pleasurable things coming through the senses, and then we can remedy the lack of intrinsic happiness that we find ourselves in here. And so the upgrade there to Swarga is that you have a longer time to do that. More pleasurable things are present. The atmosphere is all better, and so it's just much more congenial for that sort of an enterprise than here on Earth. But as the Gita mentions, that there's something that's higher than that, and that's the intrinsic pleasure of the soul. And this is in 1854, Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma. And so the more that we're engaged and connected with the mode of goodness, sattva, then we begin to feel more deeply the fact that actually we already are fully satisfied or fully joyful, as Prabhupada translates it, prasanatma. That ourselves as soul is full. It's not empty or it's not lacking. We have a feeling now of lacking. If something's lacking, and if I can add something, then I can become happier. But the natural condition of the soul is self-satisfaction, atmarama. Just there's no external reasons, not a mental reason, intellectual reason, ego reason, sensual reason. It just is there. And I mean, there's times when we experience something, not quite that intense, but we wake up in the morning and just feel good for no particular identifiable reason. There are times when you just feel better than others. And that's a little hint of that. That intensifies really greatly. So people who do usually it says it's punya karma, pious activities that takes you to swarga. Above swarga in the material world takes some level of renunciation, knowledge and renunciation, jnana vairagya, and that allows you. And usually there's a process for that. Right? The Gita gives the idea of karma yoga, where you do the pious activities, but instead of doing them for the payoff, which can be going to swarga, you do it just because it's the right thing to do. You begin to remove that motivation. And so that begins to move you towards the mode of goodness, and then it's possible to be more renounced and detached, and then connect more deeply with that. So above the Swargaloka, there's not so much the external enjoyment. It becomes a deeper flowering of the soul, the internal happiness that doesn't stop. It's there no matter what, and that's what's happening. Now Narayan Rishi, and he's showing them that, look, I've got better enjoyment available to me, right, than you can give me. Right? He produces his own. Actually, he's going to give. He says he's going to later on gives the women he generates to them. Here, have you want women? Here, have some. And they become prominent apsaras. So he says, look, I've got all that, and here I am. And so his actions towards the devas, it says, are merciful, and it's because of his condition of being Shuddha Sattva. Shuddha Sattva means transcendental goodness, which is beyond the normal goodness, and the predominant characteristic there, because we're at this point, it's beyond self-satisfaction, right? It's more intense when it's an overflowing satisfaction that makes you be concerned with others. So this is what happened with with um what was the which Muni was tasked with with finding which of the guna avatars had the most goodness. Well, somehow it just slips my mind. You can remind me later. But he was tasked with that, and he goes first to his father Brahma, right? And he fails to show him respect. So it's just an offensive omission. And Brahma gets Bhrigu Muni he becomes angry at first because the son should show his father respect. He controls it, but he's angry with that. And then he goes to his brother Shiva and he verbally insults him. All right, so it's a greater offense, and Lord Shiva then becomes also angry. You can disrespect me in that way. And then he goes to Lord Vishnu, right? And Lord Vishnu, he actually intrudes on him. He's in his private chambers with Lakshmi Devi. He intrudes on him, and then he physically assaults me, and he kicks him on the chest, and right, and so the striking with the feet is particularly disrespectful. And Lord Vishnu, he doesn't get upset, not at all. In fact, he's thinking, and this Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says this is the sign of Shuddha Sattva, that he's only concerned about Bhrigu. He sits him down. He says, if you hurt your foot, when I first read that, I always thought that he was kind of, it's a little bit of the warrior ethos there, like, have you hurt your foot when you kicked me? Are you injured? But no, he wasn't thinking that way. He was thinking that his poor guy is upset. Obviously, he's upset. Something is wrong. What can I do about it? He says that in Shuddha Sattva, you only think of others because you are, everything is fine with you. There's nothing lacking in you. You're more than super happy. And so then in that case, you only think of others. This is Shuddha Sattva. And so this is what Narayan is. He shows that when they come and try to tempt him, he's kind to them, and then shows them, hey, that your attempt actually is silly. He demonstrates Shuddha Sattva. He's not upset with them. They're afraid he's going to be angry, right? But he's not angry because he's only thinking of them, poor fellows, don't have any comprehension, right? And so that's the Lord's situation. So when we talk about here, in our day and age with Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda and the Vaishnavas, this is a very, very proactive wishing well for others. So when the Lord comes and is offering himself, in the form of the holy name, he's coming to us here in the age of Kali, when we have very little qualifications of any good kind, right? But he comes and we're not seeking him, right? But he comes to us unbidden, and he's looking for our welfare. This is the Shuddha Sattva. It's not as though the Lord is dissatisfied with us because we're supposed to be his servants and we're not serving. That would be, thinking about himself. And he's already, just as he shows the devas, he's got everything he needs. Anything he needs, he can manufacture. Right? So if he needs people to serve him, which he doesn't, he can create that. He doesn't need us for that. So his coming here is not about a dissatisfaction with us because we're not, doing what we're supposed to do, but rather all about our welfare. That's the situation. And so for Krishna, and particularly Krishna, he has there's first of all the Shuddha Sattva, and then in bhakti, in deep bhakti, there's happiness that comes from connection, deep, powerful, interpersonal connection. Prabhupada talks about this in a lecture in 1966 and 26 Second Avenue. And he tells the people there that God was one and has become many. It's Eka Bahusyam. And he says, why? And he says, why did the one become many? And he says, this is actually an important question. We should try to understand it, he says. And then he gives a simple explanation. And he said, because the Lord is Ananda Mayo Byashat, filled with Ananda. And what is the highest type of happiness? As it turns out, right, it's interpersonal happiness. So Prabhupada mentions this. He says that whenever we have happiness, we need others. And he says, just like me, he says, I'm here every day in 26 Second Avenue. But when they have the public programs and people are coming, he says, I feel so much happier. And what happens in the Shuddha Sattva situation, right? There's deep caring between others. So just like Narayan and just like Krishna, his only business is to care about others. His own satisfaction is already present. And so being able to care for others is a pleasure. And then for the liberated devotees, right? They are having the same thing, Shuddha Sattva. And they only want the welfare of Krishna and everybody else. Right? That's the model of Krishna. That's why Krishna becomes many, to have that kind of happiness where there's an overflowing self-satisfaction that causes one to wish for the welfare of others. And then when that type of love is exchanged, it causes each one's love to increase. That's the notion of Krishna's level of happiness. That's why he does what he does. That's why he becomes an individual amongst individuals. And in Vrindavan, he tries to become, he's not one. Krishna technically is one without a second. Everything else that exists is really Krishna's existence and energy. But particularly in Vrindavan, he tries to become one among many, right? He feels like he needs his parents. He feels like his friends are important to him. When Yashoda comes to call him for lunch, and his friends say, no, you can't go now. We're just having so much fun. We won't play with you anymore. It worries him. And so this is his idea, that interpersonal, deep personal connections of mutual deep caring is the best thing possible. It's better than complete oneness. It's better than self-satisfaction. It's better even than just Shuddha Sattva. That's what he has. And so when he's coming to us, this is being offered. And so just like the other transcendentalists, or even not even transcendentalists, other spiritualists, we can choose what is our idea of happiness. Generally, we're also trying to upgrade our condition somehow, right? That's usually what we have, why we're doing something spiritual. We're trying to upgrade our condition. So what is our notion of happiness, right? And we have a choice with Krishna to approach him in different ways. Right? You have that in the Gita. Right? It says the 4 different kind of pious people, the people who do good, the Sukritas, right? The people who do good deeds, the do-gooders, come to Krishna. And so sometimes they're looking to upgrade their kind of conventional material condition, maybe to go to Swarga, where the devas are, where we have better, more facilities or better facilities. It's possible. Or we have some problem here that we want to be removed, and so like that's possible. we can look for the self-satisfaction, or we can have the chance also to look at the Shuddha Sattva and the deep connections that come ultimately, in its highest level in Krishna Prema. We have all of those options. And just like the Devas here are kind of testing, they're testing Narayan to see, okay, what is it that you really want? Right? Are you just trying to get out of the earthly plane because you want more facilities for enjoyment, or what? Now we can give you that right now and just stay there, leave us alone, or is it something deeper than that? And so Krishna is, because he's so kind, we can approach him in various ways. Prabhupada will sometimes disparagingly talk about people who want God to become their order supplier, right? Whether worshiping him for something, that he'll give them. But Krishna is not upset by that. Actually, he's touched by that. He only wants the welfare of others. So he's not, oh, look, you just want something from me. And because he's willing to meet you where you are and help you in the way that you like. But we should know what are we actually looking for? Generally we're looking for some kind of, increased happiness, but what kind of happiness are we thinking? And so from Krishna's point of view, this comes from deep interpersonal connections. And I think we have, some examples of that in our own lives. Oftentimes we have people that we go have fun with. We do fun things with. And they may or may not be the people that we're closest to. So we have some fun friends. We go do this, we go do that, and we have fun together. But then we have, it may be the same people, but not always. Right? We may have the people that when we're in trouble, right, when something's happening that's difficult for us, when we need some support, right, and we know who to go to. Right? And then those are the people that, even though the circumstances may not be so happy, are the ones that cause the deepest connection. And it's those connections, those who we really care about and those who really care about us, it's a deeper type of happiness than having fun, just having fun. And so with Krishna and with people like that, right? So I guess that's the kind of thing with devotees. What is our connection with one another? I've noticed, when small groups are really successful, people make strong connections with one another. Right? They feel like, they use kind of modern parlance, that people feel seen, and they also heard, and can as it says in the Nectar of Instruction, reveal their mind. The confidential things in their minds and hearts can reveal their hearts and have connections with each other. And those are really powerful experiences. We make, come together as devotees, and we have, can have a, night, beautiful kirtan and all kinds of things. And of course, that's wonderful. But it's when we can build the deep interpersonal connections that's in line with Krishna's model for real happiness. And that's also can be our connection with Krishna. He's offering that potential, because we right away, to Krishna from the beginning wants what's best for us. That's what's happening. And so one of the deepest ways we can connect with Krishna, right, is that is our Prabhupada used to sign his letters, "Your ever well wisher." Well, that's he was modeling Krishna's attitude. He used Shuddha Sattva. I'm your ever well wisher. Krishna's our ever well wisher. That's what it is. That's what he comes in with. Not just when we serve him, not just when we do the right things always. Right? He says he's the Suhridam Sarvadehanam, that well wisher and benefactor and helper of everyone. That's who Krishna is. That doesn't change. Jesus is to say the demigods come, and there's people who are worshiping him. He wishes them well. There's those who are trying to tempt him. and mess him up like the Devas, and he still wants the best for them. He's still kind to them in the same way. He's not upset. That's Krishna. And so here's somebody we have. So when we know that there's somebody who really cares about us, it's a very powerful experience for us. And so if we can understand that Krishna is like that we're seen and heard by Krishna and he cares about us, that can produce a security in us, right? Because one of the big things that causes our problem is ego. Are we worth anything or are we not worth anything? When we cycle between pride and low self-esteem, right? No, I'm actually okay now. I'm somebody. It might not be huge, but we can feel a little self-satisfaction because yeah, I'm somebody, right? Or we can feel I'm not. And if somebody really cares for you, right, it's a security that isn't either one of those things. It's not pride or low self-esteem. And when we know that Krishna is a shelter, we can feel safe and cared for. Those things are powerful. Conditioned human and transcendental human connections that are meaningful. Those are the greatest types of connections, whether it's transcendence or immanence. When you feel cared for and you feel safe. And so Krishna has that. He says, I'm your shelter. Take shelter of Krishna, Sharanam. Please take shelter of me, and that I'm your well-wisher. He's telling us that. And so we can decide how we want to relate to Krishna, right? Sometimes we take it more that we talk about the higher taste in bhakti. So of course we can look at that different ways. One way it's just the happiness is a better kind, right? And we feel that. We come together and have kirtan, this kind of stuff. We feel a happiness that's different from normal happiness. Right? But deeper than that is the deepness of connection, deep human connection with Krishna and with others. It's better than that. It's more powerful than that. And that's what we're being called to. So how much, so if we have, we can have relationships with one another that's more analogous to people having fun together, or we can have both. That which is probably even better. We can be for each other. The connection where we feel cared for and we care genuinely care. I mean, if we act in a caring way, that's better than a caring feeling that isn't strong enough to manifest anything. But if we care and act in a caring way, it's both. It's healing for our soul and the other person's soul. And so the image that's given, this is what's happening in transcendence, is that there's these deep caring connections between Krishna and his devotees, and the devotees and Krishna and the other devotees. And so it's really the interpersonal connection. That's the deepest secret of bhakti. But we can choose. We can go to Krishna for all different types of stuff. Okay, so it's like my time is up. And we can hear from you, have comments and questions, reflections. Thank you. Gail.
Hi, Krishna Prabhu. Yeah, a couple of things. When you were saying that Krishna, although he's self-satisfied, he wants to basically share his love with others, right?
Yeah,
And
it's overflowing, So
yeah.
it's like he's got to do something with it. Right?
So is that the time when you introduced this term, which I can't fully repeat, something about dot yasat or something like that?
Oh, prasanatma. That's more than that. It's
What
Brahma
was the
Bhuta.
term?
It's a
Yeah.
prasanatma. Brahma Bhuta prasanatma is the 1854, and it says that when one realizes oneself as spirit, So it's the nature of spirit to be fully self-satisfied.
No, but there was a word that sounded like biasat, biasat, something like
Oh,
that.
Ananda Mayo Vyasat.
Yeah,
That was
Ananda Mayo
yeah.
biasat.
Prabhupada said
Ananda Mayo.
that why does Krishna be one of many? Why does the one become many? Because because he's full of bliss. Ananda Maya is Ananda bliss. He's filled with bliss. And that's the way he expresses his bliss. So he could just be one and he could be self-satisfied, but when he has deep connections with others, it's a deeper kind of happiness. So that's why the one becomes many.
Yeah, Ananda, of course, is bliss. Mayo.
Bliss and Ananda Maya Vyasat. It just means like he's filled with bliss. That's what it is. I don't
Oh,
that there's a verse in the scriptures that calls he's Ananda Maya Vyasat. He's filled with bliss.
filled with bliss.
Or is of the nature of
Okay,
bliss.
so I mean, I'm just trying to think that it almost, because I'm coming from a material perspective, it can sound
All of
as,
us are.
yeah, it can kind of sound as though he was experiencing some level of dissatisfaction, why he wanted to, you know, share his love with others or share his happiness with others,
No, there's not a level of dissatisfaction, but there is an opportunity for more. So maybe you can say he's a little greedy to have the most, right? Because the beginning is full satisfaction. Prasanatma. He's spirit, and so even if he just stays, as the Brahmajyoti, he's full. Prabhupada mentions that in that verse, Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma, that we are full, if we're as our spirits, we're full, and he says Krishna is full. Okay, but Krishna,
Hmm.
he's always looking to increase that. And so
Okay.
there's not an emptiness, there's not a lack or an emptiness, but there's a potential for more. I think
Right.
it's a more accurate way to put it.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu. And just very quickly,
Mhm.
I just want to clarify this thing about, Srila Prabhupada would seem to like express dissatisfaction at our approaching Krishna as our order supplier. But as you said, Krishna is happy when we approach him for any reason at all. So when Srila Prabhupada would express his dissatisfaction, was it because we could have a so much more, so much deeper?
Yes, that was the
Uh-huh.
idea. Yeah, that was the
Yeah.
idea because we'd be attracted to that. And he's like, "Come on, man, there's something better." So
Hmm.
yeah.
Hmm.
He wouldn't, he wasn't expressing dissatisfaction with people to do that. But guys, there's something better. Yeah, exactly. You got
Oh,
that right, I think.
okay. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Mhm. Yeah, Jeffrey Eckler. See your
Hare
hand
Krishna
raised.
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
My question is about the reference you had made earlier to this concept of um, the interpersonal being kind of a higher taste or an ideal, the interpersonal relationship. Um, I'm interested in that concept. As a parent, one of the things that I try to in imbue my children with is this idea that although school really focuses on it's kind of an individual versus the world, and you have to be
Mm,
better than the next person,
mm,
um, that nothing in the quote unquote real world gets done by an individual. you know
mm,
Even when we see, high powered CEOs or Instagram influencers or, famous actors, they have staff and they have, handlers, or they have consultants, or they have, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. My point being that nobody is out here in the real world acting on an island, you know, even well-known dictators have peons, nobody's doing this all by themselves. And so I really love this concept that the interpersonal relationship imbues life with a certain amount of elevated value. So can you provide, the reference or something where I could explore that more conceptually?
I mean, that's what Krishna does, right? He's a person by choice,
Mhm.
right? Krishna can be anything he wants. And so when you look at his world, that is something that he could be different. He could be different, the world could be different. Krishna is the architect of everything, right? He's in one sense, he's the only existent thing. And if
Mhm.
if he wanted to be different, if he wanted the world to be different, he could do it. So this is his, considered choice. He's eternal. He has all the ability to imagine things that's possible, and he has eternity, right?
Mhm.
So he's come up with the thing that he feels is the most wonderful thing. And in that case, it's the situation where you're starting off from a level of the Shuddha Sattva, where the internal happiness is so great that immediately you wish well for others, just like Narayan, or just like Narayan, the Lord Vishnu, when Bhrigu Muni comes and attacks him, he just thinks of the other, because you're already more than satisfied. And so you actually want to connect with others. And then in the level of prema, where Krishna is, where this can go to the highest level, that's just the best thing possible. And so we have the opportunity, to deal with Krishna in many different ways. But the way that he shows, right, is that we can feel full, because we're also Shuddha Sattva. And we can gradually feel that, especially when we feel like we're cared for, by others and by Krishna. So like if we can feel secure, like this is one of the main things when we're doing our sadhana. These are ways to connect with Krishna. And so there may be some happiness there, and there's obviously no harm in that. But there's a deeper thing that's happening. That if we really get transformed, if we can feel that we're seen and heard and appreciated by someone like Krishna and in other people, other devotees, that makes us feel secure, right? The ego, the pride and low self-esteem affect our psychology in such deep ways. And so when we feel cared for, when we feel appreciated, then that is it makes us feel secure. It changes our psychology in so many ways. And then if we feel, because Krishna is the supreme controller, we feel safe and sheltered. This changes our whole world. And this is where really deep transformations take place. We generally want Krishna to kind of smooth out our life, and that's just kind of a normal thing. Right. But and hey, I mean, I'm among that group. And I hear devotees a lot. I hear that they're afraid that Krishna might, rock the boat, or they may be even upset with Krishna for having rocked the boat and not fulfilled his duty of having our life be kind of sweet.
Mhm.
And it's natural for us to do that. But really, it's when times get rough and you find shelter in somebody that actually deepens it, right? And so the real gift of bhakti is the deepening connection between us and Krishna. We can feel protected and we can feel appreciated, and we can begin to return that.
Embedded in what you just said, Giri-govardhan, is this idea of pride and low self-esteem. Are those opposite ends or near the ends of the same spectrum?
Two sides of the same coin. Yeah, spectrum is a good way to put it, though. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's probably even a better way to do it, right? Because they're the same thing. Do I have value? you know, and they can flip, right? If somebody, if you pick on some poor person enough, you know, eventually they'll go, you know, well, I'm a person too, you know.
It's illustrated in like the proverbial Napoleon complex or
Yeah,
something.
and then you want to, or otherwise, you know, and if you have great pride, right, and then something happens to you that you're humiliated, you know, you flip back to low self-esteem.
Thank you for that, Prabhu.
Yeah, those two things are both unhealthy, you know. They're both unhealthy. They're artificial, you know. But if we feel that we're actually important to Krishna, and when you're dealing with Krishna, see, when the fact that Krishna actually cares for us, it negates both of those things, right? Because Krishna cares for everybody, therefore I can't think, oh, you know, I must be super special because God cares for me, right? That could be the pride thing, and at the same time, it's causeless, right? It's just who God is, and because God is so wonderful, then you can't feel pride. And because no matter what, he's there, you can't feel low self-esteem. You feel humility is that feeling of awesome appreciation. Isn't it amazing that somebody the great as Krishna really cares for me? I know that he does, and it's not because I'm awesome, right? But it's because of who he is. And so that makes you feel small in a beautiful way, not in a low self-esteem way. So it takes away the pride and takes away the low self-esteem. It's a security. You feel secure.
I love that. Small in a beautiful way.
Yeah,
Very
it's
bold.
the most beautiful thing. Yeah, that's the humility that takes us, you know, into the third verse of Shikshastakam, and all the way to prema.
Hopefully.
Yeah, it's there for us. I mean, it may take some time, you know, it's all right. It's worth the wait.
Mm. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Thank you, Giri-govardhan Prabhu. It's darshan time officially. Would anyone like to show their home deity altar, maybe? Isaiah, thank you. Closer, Isaiah, closer. Thank you. They look very happy. Thank you, Jeffrey Prabhu. Jay Robinson, thank you very much.
No.
My deity is my icon.
Thank you for that. Thank you. Jai Shishirada Mulidar. Thank you, Vasudev Prabhu. Radha Mulidar looks so happy that Vasudev Prabhu is back. Okay, Giri Govardhan Prabhu, back to you. This is the afterglow. Do you have anything to add? You said Krishna's love is ever expanding, so the class should be too ever
Yeah.
expanding.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, we have we sometimes I think have a little more superficial idea of the bliss of Krishna consciousness, because you know we do feel something, the higher taste that's different than anything else. But And then also, we kind of hope that, things will go well for us and Krishna will kind of look out for us. But in Krishna's view, even, things in Vrindavan are not always just happy and blissful. There's frightening things happening, there's anxiety happening that simply draw the human connections together more deeply. And so I really think that the depth of bhakti is where that relationship with Krishna, and this is what happens, right? When we feel more secure and we feel more protected, and that, of course, that has to be authentic. We can't pretend that. Then also the difficulties in life can become something leveraged. Even the grief that we have, even sometimes we think that we have to just be happy, but Krishna has a different definition of happiness, and it's defined by the deep human connection, especially where there's mutual well-wishing of the other. So sometimes, right, if when things go wrong, and there's somebody there for us, there's something about that connection that's deeper than, maybe even that same person when you're out having fun, or when somebody needs you and you're there. There's something more profound about that. It doesn't mean that Kunti, of course, is the one that, takes that to the upper limit, where she says, you only come here when we're in trouble. So let the troubles come. If that's what it takes, for me to see you, let's do that, because of the human connection.
Thank you. If I want to deepen my relationship with Jeffrey Eckler, should I cause him some trouble?
Let Krishna arrange for that part. I mean, of course, there's always a kind of, right. Sometimes some friends are kind of like that, right? We're trying to harass each other, so that is possible, right? That's it's his human personality. There's always that friend who's kind of annoying, but they love you, and so they're just trying to get under your skin. So that's possible. I don't know if it's like something we all want to imitate all the time, but yeah, it can happen that way.
Thank you, Giri-govardhan Prabhu. Gail, followed by Saurabh Prabhu.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Actually, I just wanted to return for a moment to the pride versus low self-esteem thing.
Mm-hmm.
Those two things being two sides of the same coin. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, one thing about that is that it seems like, because when there are two sides of the same coin, that means that the two sides have something in common, right?
Yes.
So what I'm seeing as those two things having in common is the idea that you kind of get your sense of self-worth from yourself in a way that leaves Krishna out of the picture, right? So, like,
Yeah.
if you have low self-esteem, it's because you're depending on your own qualities, seen as when you see those qualities as yourself being the source of them, right? Whereas
Mm-hmm.
if those who have pride, they also see themselves as being the source of their qualities, But if you have low self-esteem, then you don't see yourself as having many good qualities. Whereas if you have pride, you see yourself as having a lot of good qualities. But in either case, it kind of leaves Krishna out of the picture, you know?
Yeah. I think a common thread is there's really insecurity there in both things. And there's generally there's a comparison with others. How
Yeah,
do I
this
compare with others?
insecurity. This
Yeah.
insecurity, how would you
Yeah.
describe this insecurity? Insecure meaning?
That's you need to be able to prove yourself in some way, and either you feel that you can't and that you're not of value compared with others, or you think you are, kind of better than others, and that makes you feel better, but you need to feel that way, otherwise you will feel badly. So when we feel actually loved, then we become secure. And so you feel good about yourself in a way that isn't either prideful or feel like you have low self-esteem. I think that's what happens with Krishna. That love, because love is something that can't be earned. All right, so it's, like you said, it's not about us, right? It's not about us. It's about Krishna, or about real love, and but it's there. And so you can't feel insecure because you are valued by someone, and especially if it's Krishna, we know it's Krishna, and you can't feel pride about that because that love it's causeless.
And
It's just,
available to everyone, as you said
yeah,
before.
yeah. It's just this beautiful thing that's available. So it's not in one sense because of you. You have it, but it's not because of you. So yeah, you were talking about it's not your own personal qualities. That like you were touching
So
on that. Yeah.
yeah, insecurity, you would say, means not feeling a sense of self-worth. Is that how
Or
you would
or
say?
or or feeling that that you need to be something special, to have worth. I guess that's what when the pride part, you have to be something special, and therefore I'm somebody.
Yeah,
And
that's the self-worth
I'm not
thing.
in, yeah, so there's an insecurity behind that. When people, make a mistake when they're perfect, then they go right back to low self-esteem because their little bubble has burst, you know.
Mhm.
And so there's insecurity underneath pride, and there's a very insecurity very powerfully manifest in low self-esteem.
Yeah, and that's the coin with those two
Yeah,
things is the
that's right.
insecurity.
That's right.
Okay,
Yeah,
great. Thank you,
that's
Prabhu.
right. Hmm. Sorry, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, much love and respect to you and
Oh,
everyone
to
else
you
on the
too.
call. Thank you so much. Your classes are always so valued. Lots of
Oh, thank
respects.
Oh, thank you
Um,
for your
and
kind
again,
words.
I can't say that enough 100 times. Every time your classes, I'm just like, wow, thank you, thank you. So I wanted to just quickly share one or two things in
Hmm.
terms of that connection, the interpersonal connection, the beyond explanation connections, and that we have for others, and then specifically devotees. So one experience I want to share. The other day, like I wake up, the eyes open, the first thought that comes to mind is um, Sadhvi Didi is such an amazing devotee because I hear a lot of her questions, right? And she's like across oceans, if I'm correct. And that's the first thought when I wake up. How amazing is that? That's Krishna magic happening right there. And I'm like, the questions that she asks, the dedication that she has. I've never met this person. The souls are somehow connected. And she's asking questions as an amazing devotee, but at the same time, she's asking questions that I am also pursuing this, and I'm asking this question or I'm doing this to be able to serve my kids also. So it's a matter of serving the kids, the family, and Krishna. It's all one thing. And again, the first thought when my eyes open, never met her. This is the connection that I think you were talking about. So I just wanted to share that. And again, it happened like maybe a few weeks ago or several times. And I've had that feeling with all the other devotees as well. And I'm in California and I have this immense connection with everyone on the class. And I'm like, wow. And I can go down the list and name everyone. And so I think that's the Krishna. That's we are also connected. It's just amazing. And it's beyond and it's everyone on planet Earth and beyond. And
Wow.
and so thank you. I just wanted to share that. And then
Oh,
and again I
that's
can say that with
awesome.
all the other devotees too. I have many examples. I won't take everyone's valuable time. But the other thing I was quickly going to share is in terms of nicknames for Ananda Vihari Prabhu we were talking about. So that's been salient in the mind. And so my nickname for you, just naturally, spontaneously from the heart, rain or shine, Krishna's ever present Prabhu. Rain or shine, Krishna's ever
Mm,
present Prabhu. So that's my nickname for you. Thank you so much. Much love and respects to
wow.
everyone. Hari Bol.
Thank you, Sarah Prabhu. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah,
Very
thank you so much for that. That was,
loved by
yeah,
Krishna. Thank you, Giri-govardhan Prabhu.
yeah.
for channeling that love. Sweet. Thank you very much. Isaiah, Annabelle, Sage, and Sky, please unmute yourself and chant at the same time loudly. Loudly, Krishna is listening. There they are. Hare Krishna, good morning. Nice to see you. Go for it, loudly.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare.
Thank you very much. Thank you. This is how it's done, dear devoted. This is how you chant Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Giri-govardhan Prabhu Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. All the assembled devotees Ki Jai. Thank you very much. We love you. We need you. Come again tomorrow.